What's up everyone, Mario here. I want to get into some different stuff in this video. I want to go back a little bit in time. I want to go back into the days of when you were supposed to have gotten the birds and the bees talk. So what we're going to do in this video is refer back to that birds and the bees talk that you may or may not have gotten, and if you did get it, I'm guessing it probably wasn't the best talk, which is much aligned with most of us. If we did get that talk, it wasn't very good. But what I want to do is, in this video, we're going to talk about 10 things that were left out of your birds and the bees talk, things that should have been told to you but weren't. So we're going to correct a few of those, and we're going to get started with 10 of them so that you have a little bit more information to add to that birds and the bees talk that needed a little bit of spicing up. So let's get started, okay? Number one, what was left out of your birds and the bees talk? Well, I think it was left out that most of the time the man is supposed to lead. Or rather, the man is expected to lead. Now, this is something that I've really tried to get a grasp for, because it's one thing to say it, and then, it's another thing to, realize that, men are women. Men and women are so different. Men are individual and unique, and so are women. Having said that, there are definitely certain patterns among men and women. Women are, and let's be general, okay? Well, let's speak generally, okay? Now, of course, there are individuals who are going to break from the norm, okay? But more times than not, I'm talking like 8 times out of 10, a woman is more comfortable with a man leading in many situations. It's not to say all the time, but let's talk about dating, attraction, relationships. A woman is very often, most of the time, looking for a man who is comfortable leading and who can lead. So what does this mean to you, men and women? Well, it means that as women, it's true, like some of these things that are kind of like general speak, traditional, wisdom, talking about how like women don't know how to make up their minds and they want a man to like pick a restaurant or something. Let's get into it a little bit deeper, okay? That is actually, there's some reasoning behind it, and the reasoning is that it's not that women can't make decisions, it's just that they make decisions in other areas, and when it comes to relationships, they're looking for a man to provide direction, to provide some sort of guidance into what direction they're going to. So if a man doesn't provide that, she's like, well, shit, that's what I was looking for someone else to bring to the table, because I didn't want to deal with that, or that's not what I'm really good at, or in a situation where there's two, I preferred if my romantic partner, a man, would actually do things like, figure out, like, make a decision, and it's not that I always will agree with him, but it helps a whole lot, for most women, if a guy can be assertive and direct and, proclaim the direction that they're going to go in. We're going to go, how about we go watch this movie? You don't have to be bossy, you don't have to be authoritative, but you do want to be able to lead. And, if she disagrees, let her speak up and share what her disagreement, learn your partner's even better. You want to get to know people, but in general, you will be expected to lead, suggesting a restaurant, suggesting a movie, suggesting when you should be leaving, being more assertive in the bedroom, leading in that direction, especially in the bedroom. Men, you're wanted to be taking control. You're wanted as someone who provides the guidance for the direction of it. A woman doesn't necessarily want to lead in those situations, generally speaking. All right. Of course, I said there are the exceptions, and there are times when it's situational and people want to take charge or people don't. But if we're talking generally, you really do need to understand that men, when it comes to the male-female dynamic, in most cases, you need to be comfortable leading. All right, you need to be comfortable being the first one to take action. You need to be the one comfortable providing some direction for the two of you to go into. And if you can't do that, you're probably going to be struggling in the dating scene and attraction scene, because a woman really is looking for someone who can, complement her and add what she doesn't have. And a lot of the time she's looking for a man for that sense of direction and guidance and leadership. So if you're not providing it, you're not much of use. So that is something that I want everyone to know. And ladies, that's not a knock on you at all. You provide leadership in very much other directions. But when we're talking about the romantic connection, male-female dynamic, yes, we do need to address that. The man is desired more often, and generally speaking, to be in a leadership, guidance, sort of directional role. And when he doesn't, that's when there's a lot of issues, or that's when the guy is, continually passed up, okay? So next up, the next lesson that I want to share with you is that discretion is attractive. All right, nobody is really going to share that lesson with you, but it's something that you hopefully maybe learned along the way. And you're like, okay, discretion, I can do that. I appreciate that. No, let me explain this a little bit better, okay? Discretion is attractive because when it comes to dating and attraction and even relationships, people don't want their business spread all over the place. And the thing is, we're all in control of what we say about ourselves, but what kind of scares us is when someone else has the power to spread information about us without our being in control of that situation. So we're kind of, we don't want people to know everything about us. We don't want everyone to know our good side, our bad side, our hidden sides, or the struggles that we're having in a relationship, or personal things that we share, or sexual things that we share. These things are very personal. And what I want everyone to understand is that discretion is attractive. I know a lot of people like to have a big mouth. Not even a lot of people, that's maybe not fair, but there's a good amount of men and women out there who are just way too open about what they share. And here's what happens. There are other people watching. And what you don't understand is that there are people that you probably find attractive, but a lot of people are watchers, all right? So take introverts, for example. They sit and they observe so much, and you're not even seeing what they're doing, but they're processing things that they're observing, through their hearing, through their eyes, through their experiences. And they're making assessments, and you can be passed over without ever knowing it, or you never know exactly why you got rejected. But one of those reasons might be that people don't find you to be trustworthy. They don't trust you to have discretion. And why would that be? Because they know too much of your business. They know too much about your business with someone else. Why? Because, well, the assumption is that you have a big mouth if they found out about it. And when it comes to a relationship, that is one thing that's really huge. When two people are together, whether it's a committed relationship, just getting to know each other and dating, friendship, whatever, there's a trust that, certain things will be kept private, certain things will be respected and not shared with everyone so easily. And when it is broken, people find out. And when it is broken, you lose out on dating opportunities because people feel like, well, if I know this about his or her dating history and all the things that were going on, well, what's to stop someone else from knowing all this stuff about me if I date him or her, or especially when it comes to sex, it's not good. It's good to have a reputation that you do well dating. It's good to have a relationship that, or a reputation that people find you attractive. You do well with dating. You do well with attraction. You're a great lover. But the details of who, what, when, where, how often, all that stuff is not necessary. And I'll tell you, men and women, you need to understand that women especially are very protective of their reputations. Why? Because a tarnished reputation diminishes their value. How does it diminish their value? Well, if they have a bad reputation, less guys are going to be interested. If they have a reputation as a slut or being slutty, whatever society would consider inappropriate or look down upon, that's what would hurt a woman. And that is something that is legit. All right, it's just like it's just as true as saying that someone who's divorced has a little bit of baggage that other people find unattractive versus them being single. So nobody, if somebody knows all your sexual history or certain things, it paints you in a bad light that you would rather not have. So if you would like people to find you more attractive and you would like to have more options in the dating and attraction world, discretion is a must, because people want to know that when they trust you with their secrets, with personal things about themselves, or even sexual behaviors, interests, or whatever it is, that it stays there. And if you don't have that trust, if you don't have the discretion, you're never going to get people to open up to you. You're never going to get it's the people who see through you and see you as a weak link, as a big mouth, or someone who doesn't close the vault ever. So I want you to understand, I don't want you to miss out, but discretion is so attractive, okay? And trust me, when it comes to sexual things, when you're dating, it goes a whole lot smoother and faster when someone knows that you are very, very discreet. And it's not just an act, it's not just words, but they believe it about you, all right? Next, I want you to understand that when it comes to attraction and dating, the person you're with is probably just as nervous as you. Now, we all get nervous, okay? We all get like, there's different places that we get nervous. Some of us get nervous before a date as we're getting ready. Some of us get nervous as we're walking up. Some of us get nervous when we're sitting across from somebody and we're trying to figure out, what do we talk about? Sometimes some of us get nervous when we're trying to make a move to like go in for the kiss or for a seduction, or, you know, taking it up to another romantic level. We get nervous. And, you know, there are different points where I get it. Your heart just starts pumping faster and maybe you start sweating, a little clammy hands. It happens. But what I want you to understand that might help you out is stop looking across the table at somebody as if they don't get nervous, as if they are Joe Cool or Mrs. Smooth, because they're not. All right. For the most part, everyone is awkward, uncomfortable, and they're just making their way through the dating and attraction world. Very few people are just like, oh, this is so easy, this is so smooth for me. You know, like even, you know, I try and also just kind of stay aware of where I am at. And that's kind of also what reminded me of including this in this video, because when I'm having an experience, there are moments in time when I get nervous and I'm just like, well, geez, what is this? I don't get nervous very often, but you know, sometimes those nerves are good jitters. But you know, you just have to remind yourself, I'm human, or this means I'm really feeling something that it makes me feel a little bit nervous and anxious. And you just have to understand that it's healthy, that you're going through something that, you know, like, well, let's just see if we can get this under control. Keep our breath, keep our mind clear, try and get it together, you know, try and calm down. I get that. But we all go through that, and that's okay. But look at the other person that you're talking to or involved with. They're probably just as nervous as you, all right? And they can definitely empathize, okay? So don't think that everyone else has all the answers, knows what to talk about, or knows how to make the move. Don't expect that, all right? I know sometimes, you know, it just goes both ways. Men think that the women know everything that they want or want to do, and they don't. And women, you think the guys know how to lead and how they're never nervous, and they know what to do, they know what to say, they know where to go. No, both of us, most of the time, we're basically like, well, I think I should be doing this. Or how about we do this now? Or how about I talk about this? And you're not sure. But what really is always good is when both people are really comfortable to just be themselves. And there are going to be moments when you're uncomfortable. That's okay. It means you're human, and I don't want you to be a robot. I myself am not a robot, and I don't want you to be a robot. But I just want you to understand that when it comes to the attraction world and dating world, it's okay to be nervous, but I don't want you to be a nervous, you know, just wrecking ball, tearing things up and just messing things up. I don't want that. We want to work to control that, but it helps you if you don't think that the person sitting across from you has got it all figured out. So if you need someone to tell you that permission slip that they don't, that's me telling you they don't, okay? So remember that when you're getting a little nervous and you don't know how to make the move, or you're anticipating them knowing how to make the move and you know, take things to the next level, you know, we get through a whole lot of awkward things, but it sure does move smoother when people do have game and know how to be comfortable and progress and level up. Sure, that is always great, and that puts many minds at ease and helps things move along more quickly and smoother. But you know, a lot of times things do still work out, you know, just a little rough around the edges with some bumps and bruises along the way. But a lot of the time things work out. And for the most part, most people are going through that bumpy route. So what we're doing, trying to learn game, is we're basically trying to smooth your learning curve. Okay, we're trying to speed it up and smooth it out. All right, so that is the third thing that he or she that you're dating or going out with is probably just as nervous as you. All right. Now, next, number 4, I want you to understand that everyone is basically, if you've heard anything about dating advice or self-development, you're like, forget your fears and get over them. That's easier said than done, right? Okay, you're probably like, yeah, I'm totally going to get over my fears in a week. No, you're not. But you do have to understand that fear is going to be a limiting factor. It's going to hold you back. It's going to be something that will paralyze you, and you definitely want to improve your relationship with fear. Now, you will fear things. It's situational, and if it's like pop a mole or whack-a-mole. If you hit one down, there's probably another mole somewhere else that's going to pop up, but it's going to be a different situation. But our goal is, like we want to knock down as many fears as possible, so that you can be as comfortable and as knowledgeable and competent and able to handle as many situations as possible. But I do want to tell you this. When it comes to those fears, what I'm getting to is that I do want you to fear one thing. Okay? There's one thing I do want to encourage you to fear, and it's this. If you're going to fear one thing, let it be regret. Yes, regret. Because I want you to go into situations thinking that like it's more, you're more scared of not finding out, of not taking a chance, of not swinging away and seeing what happens. Because most of our life, when we're scared, when we have fear, we do nothing. And then the nothing is like fuel for inaction. And the longer that we don't do anything, the more the fear grows. And then ultimately we talk ourselves out of something, or we rationalize. This is a whole lot of why how guys, for example, get stuck, like seeing someone that they find very attractive, say a woman in a bar, or a restaurant, or a social, whatever situation, and they see the pretty girl and they're like, big hearts in their eyes. But they do nothing. And why are they doing nothing? Well, because they're letting fear take over. And the longer that you allow fear to take over, the more it's going to basically find like evidence and reasons and justify why you're doing nothing. And before you know it, you got like a case built up for why you shouldn't be doing anything. Like out of nothing, after just within seconds of seeing that pretty girl, you're already justifying your inaction by saying like, oh, it's probably look awkward. She's talking to somebody. That's probably her boyfriend, or she's probably just waiting on somebody, or I don't want to interrupt. Oh, you see how easy it is for the mind to get going? And before you know it, 3 to 5 seconds have passed, and once that passes, it's very likely that you're not going to take any action. So if you are going to fear something, I would rather you fear regret. All right, that's something that I'm also trying to build up in my life in so many different directions. But yeah, you get one life. Like I would rather fear regret, because I like at least knowing, and I try and teach everyone, all the students of game, that if you're gonna fail trying, fail doing your best. Don't fail because you did less than your best, or don't fail because you took no action. All right, that's not something to be proud of. There's no lessons learned. There's no experience that is achieved. You don't achieve anything. And also, the self that you view yourself as, you're not going to be as proud of that person if you don't take action. So if you're gonna fear something, fear regret. All right. Okay. So moving on. There's going to be this big question that comes out, and on number 5, there's this big question that comes out with your experience with relationships, and eventually you're going to be asked this question frequently. Maybe not frequently, but more than once. And people whom you date occasionally will ask you the number of sexual partners you've had. Don't answer. All right, don't answer, because there's not really a great answer. You could answer 1, and 1 is the wrong answer, because now it makes you, maybe someone thinks you're weird for that. It's 3, then someone's gonna be like, shoot, my number's way different. Now they think, you're weird, they're weird, it's weird. There's never a really great way to have that conversation. I mean, I get it, we don't want to lie, but at the same time, you have to take into account that how many people can hear that answer and handle it well. Whatever your number is, 1, 2, 10, 100, 1000, whatever it is, like this has nothing to do with the future of your relationship. Or most cases, it shouldn't really. Think about it. Like someone gets to know you. This is the you who you are. What does your past matter? Your past matters a little bit. I can't pretend it doesn't. But it doesn't matter that much that it should be impacting your future. All right. So having said that, how fair is it to be judged? Because you will be judged by your number. I think that you should avoid answering this question, avoid having this discussion, and I think you should sidestep it and basically, address like, I don't think this is a great conversation to be having. Does it really matter? And most of the time, people will back off. Most of the time you can say like, yeah, I'm not a fan of that conversation. I don't see it being very productive. Or you could laugh it off and you can be silly with it. And you can say like, let me see how many, let's count my fingers, toes, count my ears. You joke about it long enough and people realize how silly their question was because they have time to sit on it and watch you make a demonstration, and you can be playful with it, but I really don't encourage you to get into a discussion of like, hey, I'll tell me your number if you tell me yours. It doesn't go very well. And it's the people asking this question, they often will catch themselves realizing, I really don't want this information. Because remember that situation, that example where I'm saying like, okay, well, let me count on my fingers. Nope, that's not enough. Let me get my toes. And it's obvious that I'm joking, but like somebody will see that and have time and they'll be like, they'll accept the joking answer because they're kind of just realizing how silly it is. Not to say that, like everyone will do that, but in many cases people will accept a sidestep because they know how awkward it could be once they say it out loud and realize it. Or sometimes you just do need to hold the power in the relationship to be like, yeah, that's not going to be a great conversation, and just move forward. All right. And if someone sticks to it, like that's on them to be awkward. But in most cases, I really don't see this going well, because even if you can have a mature conversation about it, the odds of two people who are that mature to have the conversation and it really not bother them, no matter what, not very many of those couples out there. So that's a tough conversation that for most people, I would encourage you to sidestep, avoid, and not have. Don't ask it either. Okay? There's a lot of people who ask questions that they are not prepared for the answers to. So remember that too. That's a bonus question. That's a bonus one. Okay? Bonus number 11. We'll throw that on there. Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. Okay? Or that you can't handle the truth to. All right, so moving on. Number 6 tip that was left out of your birds and the bees talk is that success is actually, when opportunity meets preparation. And this happens all the time with dating. This happens all the time with relationships. And, like, why is that girl always get the guy? Why does that guy always get the girl? Why are they so good at having a conversation? Why are they so smooth on a date? Well, it's because people have been preparing. And you will not see that preparation, but just like right now you're watching this video, you're preparing. One day when you're placed within an opportunity, it's going to click, and something is going to allow you to take the preparation that we're doing with learning game, and you're going to have the opportunity, and you're going to meet that with your preparation, and you will be successful. So success is all about, your preparation beforehand, getting you ready, giving you the resources, the knowledge, the experience, so that when you're placed in a certain situation, in an opportunity, you are going to be able to be successful because you have the preparation to know how to handle that situation and be successful. All right. So it's important that you are developing yourself as a person, as someone skilled in dating, which is why we're learning game, as someone skilled with understanding and awareness of their dating targets. So men, you need to be familiar with women. Women, you need to be familiar with men. What makes them tick? What are they attracted to? What are their triggers? What are the things that they tend to be better at? struggle with, all these sort of things, you can prepare yourself. And that's what we're learning with game. We're learning our dating targets a little bit better. We're learning ourselves a little bit better. So we're preparing. So don't think that these people who are successful at anything, just it's random, okay? People who are successful at business have been studying business since like the age of 10, right? People who have success with attraction actually have studied attraction or gotten a lot of experience with attraction or taken a lot of failure to learn some lessons, and that's their preparation. So don't think that you can just show up, kick ass, and have all the success. It doesn't work like that. You have to prepare, and that means educating yourself, improving yourself, making an effort beyond what others make. All right, so there's that one. Then let's move into, I want you to understand when it comes to dating or attraction, when we're interacting with each others, our number 7 tip is that when it comes to those dating opportunities, the experience matters much more than the cost. So guys, I'm talking to you. Ladies, I'm talking to you. Because both of you might not be aware of this. If you haven't thought about it, ask a woman and she'll probably tell you like, yeah, her best dates weren't necessarily the most expensive dates. Certainly some very expensive dates could be great ones, but it doesn't correlate with satisfaction with dating. And that's something that as a man, you need to know. All right, and ladies, you need to know that too, because you need to know that there's a guy out there who's not going to take you on to a $250 dinner, and like he just can't do it, and it's not going to happen. It's period. But that doesn't mean that you won't have a great time with him. He might take you to a $50 dinner, and you would have the time of your life. Great scenery, great place, great conversation, great experience. You know that can happen. Guys need to know this though. Like, guys think that there's all this pressure to spend money, which you ladies, you put it on there a little bit, with the expectation of, guys, take me out, you have to pay for my time. You're not saying it like that necessarily, but that's kind of what happens when men are always paying for dates. They feel like, well, I guess I'm paying for the opportunity to have your time and experience you. And it's a shaky thing that's kind of working itself out and experiencing some hiccups and changes in 2018 as men and women are progressing and socially. But there's this knowledge that men and women both need to be aware of. With dating, sure, dating costs, but experience trumps cost of the date. So if you can take somebody and have a phenomenal experience together, that's so valuable. That's why there's some of the best dates are experiences that you two share something, because if you share sort of like the emotional roller coaster, or share an experience that you guys haven't had, or it's bonding. It's bonding, and there are things that people don't forget, because what people do forget. People do forget the $250 dinners. People do forget that expensive lobster meal. Why is that? Because there's going to be another lobster meal. There's going to be another expensive dinner. So it's not so memorable, But what is memorable is like the guy that surprises you for your birthday and takes you skydiving. What is surprising is when someone invites you to a performance of theirs. They dance or they act or something, and it's a shared experience. It's a bonding. I want you to understand, when it comes to dating and attraction, that the experience is going to matter so much more than cost. So accept that, embrace it. Ladies, I want you to know that, so you can, like maybe if you need to mentally adjust yourself from understanding that you can have a great time without money, you will. And guys, if you can understand that you can have a great woman, a great date, and have a great time and experience just a phenomenal time with each other without breaking the bank. You don't have to. So I want you all to understand that. All right. So let's move on that end, let's get on to the concept of gifts. So we're following up dating, and with gifts, it's the thought that matters more than the cost. Yes, so we're talking all sorts of gift-giving opportunities, Christmas, birthdays, Valentine's Day, you name it. For a guy and a girl, the thought matters so much more than the cost. All right, this is why when it comes to Valentine's Day, what does everyone do? They spend money and they still get the same generic stuff, but does anybody really remember, like, ladies, I'll ask you, do you really remember like how good those chocolates were? Probably not. Do you remember all the candies that he got for you? Probably not. Guys, are you getting like do you get dividends like from a woman? Does she like, show you how much it pays off throughout the year, for those chocolates? No. Like, so I want you to understand what does pay off are thoughts. All right, the thoughtfulness of a gift. Like whenever it's around Valentine's season, I like to talk about Valentine's Day, and I'm always encouraging guys to break from the norm, be creative, be thoughtful. Thoughtful is always the key word, because when it comes to a woman, I could easily have two guys, and let's say they had the same woman, female, that they were trying to do something nice for Valentine's Day. One is gonna go with the generic stuff of like, okay, Valentine's Day, chocolates, teddy bear, roses, and dinner. Okay. Well, so he's let's just say he spends total of $500 for Valentine's Day. Whatever, maybe you think that's high, maybe you think that's low, but let's just call it $500. Let's set this next guy, man number two, on a budget of $50. All right, so with $50, however, that's all he has. But what does he do? Well, he gets creative, and he basically he has a friend that owes him a favor, cook a really great meal, and it only costs him like cost of groceries, so that's $30. Then like he decides he's gonna have all sorts of small notes that he sends to that his partner will find throughout the day, and they're just all sorts of nice sort of things talking about the relationship. And so she opens her purse, sees a note, and and a reminder from him about an experience or something or she goes to her car, and she opens the garage and goes to get in the car, and she realizes her car is clean inside and out. And he leaves a message and another note, saying, just thinking of you, want you to enjoy your ride in style. And here's maybe there's her favorite candy in the little console, maybe a 50-cent candy or something, a sucker or something. But a guy can get really creative, and when someone puts in the effort, when they get creative, when it's thoughtful, and it relates to what people will appreciate, that is so much going to go much further than just throwing money at something, hoping that correlates with affection, with love, with gratitude. It doesn't work out that way. So, the most important thing when it comes to gift giving, it's always going to be thoughtfulness, all right? And that goes the same way towards men as well, ladies. So, be thoughtful with your gift giving. It doesn't have to be the most expensive gift, but it has to be something that we're like fired up about. Sometimes, get me the right pair of socks, and I'm fired up. Why? Because I'm always losing my socks, because I don't like having sweaty feet, so I'm particular about my socks, and a certain style is the only kind that I really like. So, if you know those three things about me, like how to narrow, what favorite socks I like, and those three unique traits or qualities that I need out of a sock, you get me a pair of socks, and I'm actually legit happy about it. I know you think like, oh, it's just socks, but to me, they're special socks because I'm particular about socks, and someone hit all three check marks for what I'm looking for in a sock. And so, little things like that, they make a difference. So understand that on all kind of ways. All right. Now, the number 8 tip that was left out from your birds and the bees talk is that you should always be 100% yourself from the beginning. Now, I'm saying be yourself, but like there's always going to be, parts of yourself that can improve. So all of us, myself included, there are things that we need to do to work on to get better. Maybe it's as simple as how we dress. Maybe it's hygiene. Maybe it's how we communicate. Maybe it's our use of body language. Maybe it's like whatever it is. There are things that we can always be working to do better, educating ourselves so we have better things to talk about and more insights and to be more clever and humorous. There are things that we all could work on, but I want you to understand that despite the fact that we all have things that we need to work on, it's really important that you don't present a false image of yourself. If you don't really like something, let's take an easy example of liking movies. When people are dating, the man and the woman are always just like, let's watch a movie. And then it gets into, what do you want to watch? I don't care. I'll watch whatever you want to watch, honey. And the woman's like, okay, I don't really have anything that I'm thinking of. But then you get into the selection and somehow a movie is picked, and within 10 minutes, either the man or woman is just like, oh, this movie sucks. I'm falling asleep. Or, oh, this is not my type of movie. I'm so bored. Oh, I'm stuck and I'm now watching this. This is a great example of how people are not going to be genuine. What you need to do is you can be somewhat accommodating, but let's say this is the movie example. This is something I actually go through myself. Like if you were to ask me like, hey, well, let's watch a movie. What kind of movie do you want to watch? I would probably say like, okay, probably, I do like all kinds of movies. This is true, so I would say that. But I would probably say, but if we're going to choose something, let's not choose like some ridiculous, like heavily cited chick flick, or some movie that's in black and white with subtitles. Like, let's veto all those. Those are my vetoes. Okay, so you can't vote for any of those. And then I'll ask someone else. I'll ask the woman. Like, okay, what would you veto? And that'll, like, what's your off limits that you have no interest in? If she says, like, no action movies, I can't stand violence or blood or whatever. I'm like, okay, so this helps me because now I can choose something that I like, and she can, be happy with it. We can both be in agreement, but it helps if we're both being 100% ourselves, even though we are trying to be accommodating. So what we get into in a lot of times when we're dating in our relationships, we do and say things that aren't exactly true. We eat food and drink stuff, and we watch movies, and we take part in activities that we really don't like. And it's not really fair, because if we don't like it, what ends up happening? Watch a movie that you don't like and see what happens. You'll sit there and you'll be fine for like 5 minutes, but after 5 minutes you'll just start having these thoughts festering inside you, and you'll start building up some resentment. You're like, dang, this stupid movie, and just gotta watch this because of her. I gotta watch this because of him. And that resentment builds until frustration, into anger, and then, it just builds up. So you don't want to repeat that cycle. You don't want to practice those behaviors that build up to anger, resentment, because that's going to be bad, obviously, for any sort of attraction or dating or relationship. So I need you to be 100% yourself, which most people really don't want you to do, because that means that you're going to have to be confrontational and at times say like, I don't eat that, or I really don't like that food. You have to share these from the beginning, because if you tell somebody at the beginning, hey, I'm just weird about Brussels sprouts, I will never eat Brussels sprouts. It's nothing against you. I'm sure you can cook them good, but if you ever place Brussels sprouts in front of me, I know I'm a grown adult, but I can't do it. It's just something weird about it. I don't know. I can't do it. You have to be honest with people, and otherwise you're going to be stuck in these all sorts of awkward situations that come up periodically where you're just like, Brussels sprouts, and what do I do? Like, I don't want to eat them. You always let people know you don't like Brussels sprouts from the very beginning. Let people know you don't like certain movies. Let people know that, I'm sort of a punctual person, and I tend to do well with people who can kind of work with that and respect that I'm big on time. That matters to me, and it's strange. Like, I know that I can't. Others don't feel about time the way I do, but it still feels like disrespectful when people like show up late or don't let me know if they're going to be late, something like that. So you want to let people know that stuff, so you set them up for success. And For sure, once in a while, people are going to, you're going to lose some opportunities. But is that even really a great opportunity for you if you're stuck, having to pretend that you like certain music or like certain movies or that you don't, whatever? Like, if you have to present a false sense of yourself, you have to continue that. So, from the very beginning, I think it's better advice to try and push out who you really are and allow people to accept or reject that, because most of the time people are going to accept it because strength is rewarded. If you're strong enough to say like I like this, I don't like this, people generally reward that, and it's not as often that you're going to be punished for that. People are going to be like, oh, okay, I actually don't like this sort of thing, or I like this and I don't like this, and it's just when you actually share your honest side and the side that doesn't agree with everything or the side that doesn't like everything, that lets people actually know that you're very genuine and that you're honest and that they can trust you because you have the backbone to tell them no. You have the backbone to tell them I don't like this or this doesn't work for me. So it's very helpful when it comes to the dating, attraction, and relationship world. All right. And our last tip, number 10, is this huge lesson about dating, attraction, relationships. All right. It's that no relationship lasts forever. And that's a tough one to kind of get to because, we think about the happily ever after. We think about, we're all striving for, or we seem to think that everyone is striving for a marriage that ends in both of us holding on to each other and dying at the exact same time. Even if you get married, the relationship will end. Someone's going to die before the other. Most relationships that end in marriage also end in divorce, or that have marriage as an outcome. They also tend to end in divorce. Friendships end. All your relationships with people will end. Like if we think about this from a macro perspective, there's no relationship that you will ever have that doesn't end. It's just a very natural process about how life functions. No relationship is forever. Things change. Some things don't last. So that's something that I would want everyone to understand from the beginning. Because if you also understood that there are going to be relationships in which someone comes into your life for a week, it's going to be a phenomenal week, but maybe they leave out of town, or maybe it's just fire and then it's off. It would help you to know that you're going to encounter a lot of relationships. They're not all going to last 60 years. Some might only last 6 hours, but it might be a hell of a 6 hours for you that you don't forget and that you wish was longer, but that was it. Maybe someone was just in town for a fleeting moment and you connected, had something amazing, and it's nothing to regret. It's nothing to be ashamed of. But it was a very brief relationship. And I think we need to also change the dialogue of how relationships are interpreted. Because relationships don't have to be 60 years. A relationship can be, like you and I have somewhat of a relationship. You have a relationship even watching this video of me. Relationships can be defined as something, very small, not just like this epic 60-year marriage. That's a relationship. No, relationships can be like I met somebody at a 7-Eleven and I talked to the 7-Eleven person for like 30 seconds. That's a relationship. You meet somebody at a bar and talk to them for a second. That's a relationship. You might talk with somebody online using an online dating platform. That's a relationship. They just might be, some are shorter, some are longer, some are very brief, and that's okay. All right. But I want you to understand that relationships aren't meant to last forever. They do all end, and that's okay. That's part of life, but I think it does more harm than good for us to maintain this image of relationships as a real relationship means that it's forever or it's until you die. That's not true. Some of the best relationships you will ever view are going to end abruptly, end well short of 60 years. And I actually have a cousin, and she married a phenomenal guy. We loved this guy so much. And he died in his early 50s, but they had like the fairy tale sort of life. Like they're in their small town, they were like royalty because of how cute they were as a couple and their story and how perfect they were for each other. It was just an amazing connection. But that relationship wasn't forever. And that was one of the best relationships I'd ever seen. So I would just encourage you all to understand that relationships don't have to be forever to be quality or to be worth it. And relationships, are going to come in all lengths and sizes, and that's okay too. But understanding that, I think, will shift the perspective that we have towards dating, attraction, and even, what we consider relationships. If we understand that relationships don't last forever, nothing will. No relationship will ever last forever. So if you can think about that as being just a little bit more natural and a little bit more aligned with how everything works in this universe, life is going to be easier for you. So there you have it. We had 10 plus 1. We had that extra tip for you included. So we have, I guess, 11 things that might have been left out of your Birds and the Bees talk. So I hope we planted some seeds, affected your perspective, and helped you build your game. Because remember, one of those tips was success is when preparation meets opportunity. And that's what we're doing here. We're actually preparing you for an opportunity so that you can have success. You all take care. Thanks for watching. If you appreciated the content, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you believe that learning about better strategies for life and love is advantageous, I invite you to join Get Game Group. Membership is free, open to men and women, offers weekly game video lessons, and a weekly mailbag for member submissions. Click the link in the description to join.